Okay, this looks like working. It looks like we're live, but no one knows it's here, so there is no one watching.
How do I get on?
So go on to the channel, tap live, I think. Oh, no, that's all your different live.
Got this.
Excellent. Glad you can see and hear. Scroll down. Scheduled. Yeah, try that.
Ah! Hello.
Oh. If I wave around, does that appear on? Yeah. Okay, brilliant. 4,691 irradiated haggis. Thank you, Aaron582, for a superb use of your members' thing. You won't if I tell you what it's from. It's a Red Dwarf quote.
Oh.
Yeah, you see the disappointment. Oh.
Hello.
Excellent. Well, glad people can see and hear.
Have you watched 500 Days of Summer or anything like that?
What's that?
Never mind.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, folks. I hope people have been able to jump over from the other disaster. For whatever reason, it wasn't picking up the webcam. And no matter how much I worried at it, it didn't seem to want to until I thought, blow it, I'll just try it again anyway. And it saw the webcam. So, computers, eh? Crackers, the bunch of them. Right then, I'm now quite discombobbled because I have just
hi, Kev.
20 minutes on make thingy machine spirit work. Now it works. What were we talking about?
What before this? Were we talking about Battenberg?
But no, that was you trying to feed me sugar whilst I was trying to fix the thing.
I said, put a piece of Battenberg in your mouth. It's bound to come on because that's what happens.
No, you got it back to front. It's bound to come on. Then I put a piece of Battenberg in my mouth.
You've just stolen my Battenberg. I'm not speaking. You've just stolen my Battenberg. And now it's to call that time to come on, and now he's not even speaking. Disgusting.
Hi, folks. She offered me one, and I bought them for her. Okay, so still no sponsorship deal. Height of professionalism. Yes, that's right. So, we are back for another live stream with my wonderful assistant, Crimson. Say hi, Crimson.
Hi, Crimson.
So usual format, bit of a ramble about what we've been getting up to hobby-wise, and then a ramble about the subject of tonight's ramble, and then any questions. So if you want to pop questions into the chat, my wonderful assistant will be collating them and randomly throwing them at me to answer. Well, I say randomly, expertly inserting them when I have a gap in my train of rational thought. Oh yes. I've just noticed there's an onion bhaji recipe attached to my other screen. Random. So what's been going on hobby-wise? Well, I have been painting a lot of ultramarines for Heresy. Yes, I'm up to about 2,000 points now, and I have a game with someone in 3 or 4 weeks. I'm trying to get to 3K for that game. because looking forward to that. That will be fab. That should, in theory, if all goes well, be Ultramarines versus Dark Mechanicum on the surface of Calth. So super looking forward to that. Filmed a series of hobby videos for doing my Ultramarines thing, and I've been starting to drip those out every week opposite the bat reps, which is cool. First one I did was about painting my Ultramarines. Then I've got a few others coming up. One about scenic bases, one about apothecaries. I just finished filming one earlier this week about heralds, where I've done a conversion of a herald on a zippy fly bike, and where I've got a Forge World herald and tried to use, emphasis on tried to get one of those giant transfer flags to fit on it. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing hobby. Well, I say that's what I've been doing hobby wise. That's some of what I've been doing hobby wise. But also had a number greater than zero of practice games on Heresy to try and get the hang of it. It's not the kind of game that's quite so easy to wing whilst learning, filming and learning at the same time. So I had a few of those, but so that's what I've been doing with the that's what I've been doing with the painting and the playing. The building, I have been building Bretonians. Oh yes, some of you may have seen the Old World unboxing video where I gushed over a load of Bretonian models, and yeah, I wanted Old World Army, and I have GW sent me the Bretonians, so who am I to argue with fate? I also really like the red and black colour scheme that they've done them in for the particular duchy. I need to brush up quite a bit on my lore to try and understand everything and know whereof I speak. So I've been building Bretonians. I've also, whilst I've been doing all this hobby stuff, been listening to the complete Sherlock Holmes as read by Stephen Fry on Audible. So my vernacular has become considerably more Victorian. So, I do apologize. I found myself saying random stuff like that. So yeah, been building those Bretonians, and it's 1250. It's 1250 points you get in the box. I assume the Tomb Kings one is also 1250 in the box, so you get to do pretty much exact matchups, and that's a nice number of points. It has occurred to me, perfect for doubling up. So the application of one more box of the big Bretonians would get me a Duke and a Baron. Very important that, because I don't want the Duke. I'm starting to get into it. I'm going to put a pin on that. And come back to what if I got another box. Crimson, what have you been up to recently? Hobby-wise, you've not really had time. You're building your business at the moment, aren't you?
I've got a new business and I'm building that up. And then we've had a baby. Not me personally. Not had a baby. My niece has had a baby. She's been pregnant for the longest time, and she had a baby at Christmas. So I have been doing that, cooing over the baby and making sure she's okay. So that's what I've been doing. And that's about it for me. Building up a business takes a lot.
It's taking a lot of time.
Yeah, and getting your name out there and stuff like that. So Yeah, Mick, I was just going to answer that from Mick. The audible books are brilliant. That anything like that is brilliant. I listen to mine a lot in the car. Really, really good. In fact, sometimes when I get in the car and I'm not listening to one, I feel a bit lost. So I feel like I have to stop, download one, and then listen to it if it finishes mid flow.
Sometimes you don't ring me when you're.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't.
you're ringing me for a chat
book.
whilst you're travelling. No, I want to listen to my book. I just wanted to tell you about some such. And I'm like, okay.
So
get back to your book,
so do read my book. Do listen to my book a lot. So, and I think it's really good. And I think the key is to get somebody. I know this sounds weird, but to get somebody's voice that's listenable. Because if you've got somebody's voice that is not listenable, then it's not half as good. So if you find somebody that you like hearing, and that is sort of great, really. So I do. So Sarah, I think Sarah would love it. Yeah.
Well, the Sherlock one that I'm listening to is immense value because it's north. I can't remember exactly how many. It's north of 90 hours of audiobook for one credit. Before Sherlock, I listened to No Fear whilst I was painting some ultramarines. I thought I'll have a little break and then listen to some of the other Calthy ones. And yeah, I mean, 90 hours of Sherlock. What was I thinking? But it is brilliant.
I think you've missed that, by the way.
Oh, missed something.
The 29 months.
Oh, right. Wolf Corgi member chapter 29 months. Do you have a favourite era, type, or artist for Warhammer art? I like
a lot of Warhammer art.
Yeah.
I've bought you quite a lot of art. Yeah.
Yeah, the Emperor and Horus versus the Emperor, they are both amazing pictures. I've got a nice Indomitus Crusade one from yourself, and
what I would say is whatever you order is not send backable, so be really careful. I know we only order what we like, but sometimes we think, but you can't send it back, obviously. So just be a bit careful when ordering. But yeah, there's some lovely pieces in there.
In terms of the in terms of what era of Warhammer art, I do quite like the really weird, crazy gothic stuff in the second ed rule books. That's as just sort of on page things. That's really good. I like those. Crazy. Yes.
Do you want to do any more before you move on?
Yeah, let's.
Yeah. So I can't get used to saying Moog. Not saying Moog, but Blue Demon Brushworks
Moog
says, when are you starting an old world orc army?
That's an interesting question. So I decided at the start of the year what I was really the heresy army that I'm doing. The fact that I'm just working on one army, I thought this is really good. I'm really getting into doing the one army and just building it up. So I sort of thought, well, maybe that could be my thing for 2024 is one army per system. So, okay, well, the Bretonians for Old World, 40k. If I played much of that, it'd probably be AdMech. Obviously, Ultramarines for Heresy. The one slight notable exception is for Age of Sigmar, with the remainder of the Siege of Excelsis to film and release. I have specific units to paint from a number of armies, but it's a specific list rather than something sprawling, so that's okay. And I pick an army for Star Wars Legion, and I think I've gone for Separatist Alliance. Roger. Not least because they're the only models I've ever painted that take less time to paint than they did to build. So that was the plan. Although I did happen to randomly end up looking at a bunch of old orc models that I've got, and I didn't realise I had nearly so many. I thought I had like a couple, and I just thought, oh, where's my old orc wyvern? Do I still have that? I wonder if I've still got that. And I went and had a look, and I have got that, and about 800 points of orcs and goblins. So I'm like, ooh. So I haven't started that army yet. As it stands, it will come after Bretonnians are done. That's kind of the idea. We'll see. We'll see. So back to the Bretonnian box that I alluded to before. So yeah, you get the 1250 points is based on using the Duke. Now the problem is the Duke, whilst it's a generic profile in the book, they're effectively named characters. So in so much as there's one per duchy, they're the Duke of that duchy. So you can't. What?
I can't help thinking of the song when you say that. I can't help thinking.
So only one Duke per dukedom. Only one Duke per dukedom. So in terms of them being in a fight, getting killed, and so on, I'm kind of thinking they're kind of like chapter masters from that point of view. If you use a 40k equivalent, so I want them to. Whilst I'm happy to use it, and I obviously will use it and do want to do it, I also want to have a baron or barons to be able to use to lead different armies. The problem I have is I don't like the baron miniature. Well, it's a different version of the Duke. It's the same kit. I don't like the baron one nearly so much. He's unhelmed and he's got a sword rather than being full helm and lance. But you know, it is what it is. So that's why. The knights you get in the box, you get 12 knights, you get 2 units of 6. And that's okay. It's more or less minimum unit size. I think minimum unit size is 5, and so 6 to put it in the triangle. Really, you want 10 to have the rank at the end and a little bit more oomph. It's sort of the equivalent of 2 ranks of 5, but in a different shape. So, and also, I want some Knights Errant, and they are the same kit. Knights Errant are like the young nobles who need to earn their honoriness, and you can never have too many peasants. So I sort of think, yeah, another box actually doubles that up nicely to just about the 2k mark. Then you're just talking a couple of other bits and bobs, a damsel, a trebuchet, a couple of bits, and then boom, army's done. I did quite like the look of some of the yeomen, but the price is eye-watering for what you get, so I don't know that I will do that. But then again, it's about the price of one Sabre tank from Forge World for the Ultramarine, so I'm sort of, it'll depend on what goes higher up the list, how soon, because it's about choices rather than yes or no. It's about what, when, and order, and priority, and all that stuff. So, was there a question I missed? Okay. So, Moog has asked, what is this done thing in context of an army, please? I am not familiar with it. I can only assume that's a reference to something I have just said. However, I cannot remember what I just said in the context of that question. Is that the done thing? Did I say is that the done thing? I think I said it, but I don't know what about. Remember what I said?
I can't even remember you saying it.
Okay.
I'm sure you did.
So let me try and answer the question without understanding the question. The done thing is to build an army that is reflective of the group in which you play. So that's not to say being constructing your armies in a narrative way is the done thing. It is for me, but that's because of me and my group and so on.
You said you were starting your orcs.
Oh, well, thank you. You said you were starting your orcs when the Bretonians were done. Okay, well, there aren't a huge number of units in AOS for all of the various factions. I think once you've got a big block of knights and a boatload of peasants and some knights on foot and stuff like that, then there isn't an awful lot else to add. There's other stuff that I am less keen on, or the Grail Knight stuff I am less keen on because of having to paint everything in different colours. So I may or may not add that, but I will certainly consider the army to be it's scales of done. My Ultramarines will be done at some point, but they'll never be done. There'll always be more I can add to them whilst I build up tactical companies and assault companies and yeah. So yeah. Have you put that there to have for later or for me to have? For me to have. I thought so. Thank you very much. It's one more minute. I'm sorry.
It's not a full one.
Batten. Oh, and Berg. You can really taste the Berg. Okay, so so I think done is possibly a misnomer, ready to move on to something else. In a similar way to, because you see, what I normally did or do is I plan like a 2K or list for an army, then build it, then paint it. Then I play it and go, oh yeah, this word, that word, then what I want to add this thing and change that thing, and I'll buy those. And then whilst they're arriving, I'll think, what can I do in the meantime? I'll do this. And then I run on to another project, which is why I have a huge number of armies, but most of them are around about 2 or 3K, which is fine for the odd game here and there, but not great if you want lots of different variety in your lists, which I do. And also about creating different narrative lists for different scenarios, which is my thing. So it's more for me, I think, I'm trying to get to the point where I concentrate on one army till I get it to the point where I have that variety. I think it was James March from March of War who said to me a while ago, 2K isn't an army, it's a list. But this is a man who has sort of 10K of every army he's got. So little pinch of salt, James. A little pinch of salt with that. But it is a valid point from that perspective. So yeah, I think what I will want to do there is focus on one army before moving on to another. But as I said, equally, that can mean getting some allies for an army. So my Ultramarines being what they are, I can quite legitimately see 4 allies that I could take, I can add in. That 5 allies that I could take and I could add in. There's an awful lot of the Imperial Militia, which are very similar to Guard. There's also Admech, Aronkalf, and the Imperium Secundus, as are Dark Angels, as are a small number of Space Wolves, as are Blood Angels. But enough of that. This is an oldie world focused Rambali. So yeah, there were a bunch of things that I thought, oh, we could ramble about. And then I thought I will discover more things to ramble about as I read further into the rulebook and see more detail. I didn't do that yet. But that was my point. The done thing is whatever's done in your particular group, but I misunderstood the question, and then I remember why I went away from that and come back to that We're all good. Help.
Well, you've gone totally off topic.
Yes.
So what you said you were going to do, so I just thought this was your ramble hour.
Okay. Yes. So
back on it.
Focus. So yeah, there were a few things that really jumped out at me from the book that I thought, yeah, really like that. That's a nice touch. There's a lot of reminiscence of the previous official version of Warhammer Fantasy Warhammer Fantasy Battle in there. There's a lot of good stuff that was like, yeah, this is very familiar, that's very familiar. But there are a few nice touches, some of which have been in the Warhammer community, so they're not going to be news to you. But a couple of them, I don't think I haven't seen. Doesn't mean they weren't there. So the fact that depending on how badly you lose a combat, you don't necessarily break and run and get run down. You might fall back in good order, which means you're then not locked up in the following turn. Neither of you are locked. You can be charged again, or there's the fact that losing isn't instant death. I like, and it depends on the margin by which you lose. I think that's good. I think that's a nice touch. One of the other nice touches that I particularly like is if you are attempting to dispel someone's spell, if it goes horribly wrong, the dispeller can take perils of the warp. Can suffer a miscast, get absolutely slapped down by a superior wizard. I like that. I like the sort of level 1 goblin going, I love him. Oh no, mistakes were made. And his head exploding. It's funny because he's a goblin. I like that. That's a nice little touch. Also, one of the problems that I perceived with some of the fantasy battle stuff was everyone had the inclination to build their you either built your let me see if I can get this right. Your units were either 5 wide and 10 deep, so you would always get a +3 rank bonus. Or I think if I'm right in saying 10 wide gave you another bonus. So you ended up with really narrow and deep units that acted like Death Stars, which were basically just hero delivery systems, which hashtag really boring as far as I'm concerned. Couple of interesting things. So the maximum rank bonus you can get depends on your unit type. And they're all stated in the book. The width of your rank also depends on your unit type. So heavy cavalry need to be, I think I'm right in remembering, it's 3 wide for a rank bonus. But there is also a gorgeous rule in there about there's different formations that you have available to each unit, and you can declare which ones the units are using. And they have different pros and cons. So, obviously, I'm not going to sit with the rule book in front of me and get this exactly right, but loosely speaking, that close quarter formation is your sort of tight rank and file, stabby stab, in order to gain you your rank bonus in combat. But you cannot have more ranks than you have files. In other words, your unit must be at least as wide as it is deep. So if you've got 5 by 4, you're great because you're 5 wide, 4 deep. 5 by 5, fine. 5 wide, 5 deep. 5 by 6, you're not in close quarters. You can't claim the benefit of close quarter combat, which is cool. Also, if you are in I can't remember, I think it might be called loose formation. I'm not sure. There's one basically you put your archers in, which means they're more maneuverable. They don't have to do all the pivots and turns. They can sort of, like, for want of a better phrase, just like reposition on the spot to point in a different direction.
Let's just answer Moog's question because it's on combat.
Okay.
Can you wrap around units?
Can you wrap around units when you win a combat? I don't think you can, but if you can, there'll definitely be a picture. So let me just quickly skim through the combat bit of the book and see if I see a picture for wrapping around. I very much doubt it based on what we've seen so far. Combat results, multiple units in combat. No, I would, given a 10-second flick through the book, I would say no, you can't. But that might be wrong. There's also units have to have a certain unit strength. Unit strength is a concept now, rather than just unit size. So previously, if you were charged in the flank by a unit of 5 or more models, you'd lose your rank bonus, you'd lose a bunch of stuff, and benefits to the attacker. Now it's something more to the effect of, if you're charged by a unit with a unit strength of at least X, and in some cases, I think it's if your unit strength is exceeded by the unit strength of your opponent. And unit strength is it's similar to objective control in 40k. It's each type of unit has a different unit strength. So 1, 2, 3, for instance, and it's how many models each one counts as. So I think heavy cavalry were 2, I think. Could have that wrong. So when doing the things that rely on unit strength, they are better than other stuff.
Another question.
Yes, please.
Aaron582 says, thoughts on using the new Slaves to Darkness models for Warrior of Chaos?
So, one thing that is interesting. All right, 1 second. A little bit of residual bat. So the majority of the models now are on 25mm bases. In the rule book, in the picture centerfold, there is there are 9 armies in Old World now. Go on, have a quick rustle. Crimson's getting a stash of sugar. Be easy to get it all done at once.
Thank you.
Okay. So of the 9 armies that are in the book, they all have a section of pictures with a big army layout, and then this unit, that unit, this unit, that unit. And all of those 9 armies have one of those except one. There isn't a spread for Beastmen Brayherds. Don't know what that tells us, whether they're going to be more likely to be coming or less likely. So you can see what minis they are using for to see what minis they're using for the armies. So, for instance, the dwarves, there are some of the later dwarf minis that currently feature in AOS, but most of them are much older. Either much older or have been redone to look much older. I doubt that very much. I think they're the older minis. The orcs and the goblins are the older minis in the pictures. Obviously, you can use whatever minis you like to play the games, but that sort of gives you an idea. So coming back to the Slaves of Darkness thing, from my teeth whistled. From did I go right through here?
Oh, it did.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Slaves of Darkness minis that I see on the page look to me to be the current range. They've got the Marauders on horseback, some of the Warriors on foot. I'm not certain about all the Warriors. Some of them might be slightly older sculpts. But things like the Lord on a Manticore, that's an AOS current model. That's in there. Now, an interesting point about the using the models for the different things is they've in the books they say what base sizes every unit is, which is interesting because anyone who's got minis that they've made round and put onto round bases for AOS, there is potential for things to be switcheroonied. So, for instance, the 25mm bases that most of the old Free Guild and Ironweld minis for Cities of Sigmar, as was, are on a 25mm basis. The standard base size for AOS for Old World troops is 25 square. Now, a 25 circle round will sit snugly inside a 25 square in terms of within its surface area. And I've already had some samples from War Factory U of their conversion kits, which I'm going to be doing a video about later in the week. And those are really good. And I can sort of see, I can totally use these models in this conversion movement tray and not have to change anything. So things like state troops, Free Guild / state troops, interchangeable. Gloomspite and Night Goblins, interchangeable from that point of view. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Now, the larger base size for the squares is 30mm. So the likes of Orcs go onto 30mm bases. I think I'm right in saying Chaos Warriors are on 30mm bases. However, those ones are on 32s in AOS. They do not directly translate. And I think the square is too cornery to fit inside the 32. So some of them will convert really easily with trays and things. Others, not so much. But it strikes me in selecting the armies they have selected for the Old World, a significant. I think there have been two factors driving them. From some perspectives, there's narrative. For instance, Ogre Kingdoms. I believe Ogre Kingdoms only came down from the Chaos Weights way later, nearer the end times. And being 800 years prior to that, there's no easy way. I mean, obviously they can do anything they want with retcon, but that was an easy one not to put in. Some they've obviously changed. They've lent the narrative into a particular direction in order to avoid having to take certain forces in. But it strikes me that the ones they have left out of Old World are more heavily the ones that have minis that are specific in AOS. So, for instance, what GW have said is these are the 9 factions, and there are another, I think it was 9, that they are not going to be doing in the Old World in the foreseeable future. They've said they will do a full They will do a full and complete PDF Legends list for them with everything you need, but that comes out early doors and it isn't supported going forward. They won't be doing redoing versions of it, and they won't be getting new minis. Now, I imagine if Old World takes off, they'll bring some of those back, and that'll be a nice way of sort of dripping in new forces. But they've said, these ones aren't here for now, and a lot of those are ones with a strong AOS presence. Lizardmen, aka Seraphon. Come on, brain. Chaos Demons. Vampire Counts, aka Soulblight Gravelords. There was another big one. Skaven, I just said Skaven. So what I suspect is they are leaning further, and they want to try wherever possible to make the miniature lines distinct, is my guess. They're leaning into the slightly more nostalgic aesthetic with the Old World, sort of smaller, a little bit drabber, less grandiose in terms of the styles of the minis. They got big quite quickly. They sort of went boom, and now we're Nagash with big wibbly wobbly squirrely, and now we're Lord Croak sat on a big thing with spinning rocks and stuff. I think they're definitely going back to the and now we're a load of little goblins with spears. That's it.
Mooks just asked a question: are Norskins in, or have they been folded into chaos?
I haven't seen anything specific for Norskins, so I don't think they are there. That said, have they put these up for pre-order? Yes, they have. The Arcane Journals that are available. There's one gone up for order for the Bretonnia. So you've got your goodies book and your baddies book, and that's the main army lists for the goodies and baddies. Then they've got these fairly slim softback Arcane Journals, which are sort of, I think they're sort of like 20 odd pages, 20, 30 pages, which are a bunch of narrative and a bit of expansion and some more obscure stuff for each faction. I think I'm right in saying that Questing Knights are in the Bretonians one. So it's not inconceivable that the Norsicans might appear in the Chaos in the Chaos Arcane Journal, but I did not see them in the main list. One moment for a little bit of Coca-Cola. Oh, Big Bad Peter Gaming has used his member for 23 months. He is in the house. He says, "Hello, Paul and Crimson. Hello, Big Bad Peter Gaming. Member for 23 months.
Oh, 23 months.
So it's a while. It's almost 2 whole years. Mm. Yes, no less. Yeah, so it's definitely the older aesthetic, which is what, when I was idly flicking through the rulebook and I looked at the Orcs and Goblins and thought, I wonder if I've still got my old Wyvern. And then I discovered that I think it was right at the end of the Old World, at the end of Fantasy Battle, I'd started buying up a bunch of stuff from the eBays to do an Orc and Goblin army, and then it all got axed. And then when I came to do my Gloomspike gits for AOS, none of them was suitable because they were too old. Make the machine member for 37 months says nothing. Hello, but says nothing. Gotcha. Saying nothing.
Mick.
Mick.
Mick the machine.
Indeed. James Wood, member for 34 months. Having no vampire counts really killed my hype for the old world. Yeah, I get that. The rationale was that the von Carsteins haven't risen yet. But the way I'm looking at those, because I have a Vampire Counts army, and it's all painted and based, and is definitely usable, and it's got a reasonable amount of variety, not a huge amount, but a reasonable amount. With some of the armies, I think there's definitely narrative reasons to be able to play certain games, and I think there are some of the armies that will be much easier for them to put into the narrative at a later stage. Whether they'll go down the whether they go down the route of resurrecting previous forces or putting in relatively new stuff, I'm not sure. Same principle to Star Wars Clone Wars. They had a reasonable gap between episode 2 and episode 3, and they introduced Ahsoka Tano and a whole bunch of Clone Wars stuff, and it was all fine as long as they'd all died or left by the time the third film happened. That could be the same that could be the same principle. They could create new armies and then know they're going to collapse at some future point. But the of the different ones, the ones I think that can fairly easily be crowbarred in at a later stage. You see, we also don't know what they'll do with bringing in new factions, whether they will do faction. You see, what I suspect they might do, in the same way in 40k, you've got sort of Great Crusade, Heresy, Scouring, and then a bunch of other things that happen around the 30k mark before they jump 10,000 years. You've sort of got the Age of Apostasy stuck in the middle, but they could easily, you could easily be playing games with your Heresy armies that were set in the Great Crusade if they decided they wanted to release loads of Xenos or other human cultures, Or you could be playing games in the Scouring for hundreds of years afterwards as the traitor legions are being chased away. I wonder if there is a similar principle with the old world whereby whereby they may introduce forces that happen in 100 years' time or a couple of 100 years' time. So the current forces in the old world are still valid to fight against them, but not we're not right the way along. So, for instance, if we look at the Empire army has a little bit of a different flavor to it. So, in Fantasy Battle, steam tanks were rare. There was even a view that there had only ever been a dozen made, and they were sort of, truly terrifying ancient articles. In the period of time that this is set, they're still making them. They're everywhere. Everywhere is a bit of an exaggeration, but there's loads. They're not nearly so. Oh God, what's going on? I think I've missed some stuff.
I've got it. No, I've got it.
You've got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come back there. Thank you. Another thing with the Empire, for instance, is the colleges of magic have not been founded at this point. So there's no such thing as a bright wizard or another type of wizard. No schools of magic. So you've just got battle wizards. So there's that sort of different kind of flavor in there. And I suspect they have given themselves room. They will have possible options on the table for where to go next in the event of things taking off. They'll have worked out some of those scenarios. They will know whether they're going down old lines or new ones. And to be honest, I imagine it is simpler to resurrect old miniature lines than it is to go for brand new brand new ones. Although there is.
Can we just pause a second? There's a lot going on that you probably need to address.
Could I just do 30 seconds more?
You can.
Okay. There's also provision in the army allocation, as well as sort of core and heroes and special and rare, and allies. That's important. They're in there as well, which is great. There's also a provision for mercenaries. So it wouldn't surprise me if something like the old Dogs of War started coming back, where there was a mercenary book with a load of those old minis that you could add to all sorts of different armies. So I think they've left themselves wriggle room. And of those factions that they've currently not supporting, I suspect Vampire Counts, Chaos Dwarves are some of the easier ones to get in. Right, I'm back in the room. Eyes are open. I'm here.
Okay, then. So Moog said I'll start at the top. The Von costumes haven't risen yet. How far back are they setting this?
So I think was that the whole question?
That's the whole question.
The impression I got, and that was on the Warhammer Community. They said that on one of the chatting with the game designers articles. The impression I got, and I don't want to misrepresent it, the impression I got was that they were sort of between consciousnesses. I think they've been put down and weren't currently super active, like sort of hiding in a cave, eating bats for 300 years to recover their strength, kind of thing. The impression I got, go check it out on the community link. I think that's cool.
Okay, so Padwin Wriggles made a comment. So there was strong community support for Warhammer Fantasy since its death. I sort of suspect the same groups will help keep the legend armies afloat.
Yeah.
In TDW.
The old world.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think they will be viable. I guess it's the minis, it's the support of the minis and getting the whole army book. It's like there's a whole load of 40k stuff that's got into Legends, and it's part of my disenfranchisement with 40k. They're viable for the moment, but when they go to the next edition, they won't be. So it feels a little bit collecting them. But the fact that they've only introduced half the armies into Old World makes me suspect that it's almost like they've got all the old molds in the cupboard and they can go, do you know what? Let's churn this out. This is going great guns, and they might drop more factions that way. There's got to be a way of doing it, because they got rid of Fantasy Battle because people weren't buying models. They were just buying the rule books every few years because they had all their own armies, and no one was buying the new stuff. That's one of the reasons. Main one, I think I'm given to understand that they binned it off. So they must have a strategy for how to keep it alive as a game and not repeat that mistake. When they've decided to bring it back, they will be doing something. They will have both a medium and a long-term plan for how to keep that game financially viable. They sort of want to have
Not finished.
You've not finished.
Yeah, there's loads.
Okay. They sort of I'll get to the end of this one as soon as I can.
Fine. No, that's fine.
I have forgotten what I was saying, so you're probably in luck. What was I saying? Do you remember anything I just said?
I'm too busy writing.
I thought you would be.
You'll remember. Cadfail Kev says we've cheered him up, and he's had a bereavement in his family, so we have cheered him up, which is fabulous.
Hang in there, Kev.
And you've missed a super chat from Big Bad Peter. Thank you, Big Bad Peter.
Oh wow, Big Bad Peter Gaming. I'm looking forward to Old World as it lets me start an army I wanted since I was a kid, the Bretonias, but I'm trying to figure out if I want to rebase my Silver Death army so I can use it for Wood Elves.
I love Wood Elves.
So thank you very. That's an army in the old world. I'll show you the pictures. Sounds wrong. So First, thank you very much for the super chat. It's very much, and the 10 gifted memberships. Goodness me, thank you very much.
Gifted memberships.
What a legend! Thank you very much.
So kind, thank you. And they were took up like that.
And before I forget, those people who've taken up the memberships, come join us in the Discord. It's a really cool, funky, chilled out hobby Discord that is a lovely place to be.
Like Ramble City,
if I do say so myself. Right, there's the Sylvaneth Wood Elves. What I was going to say before was about. Oh, no, it wasn't. Oh, shoot! Right, so Sylvaneth and Wood Elves. So I haven't seen in the pictures any tree men. I have seen I haven't seen dryads. I've seen tree men, and they are the old sculpts on the pictures. They don't seem to be leaning into using the Sylvaneth. That said, there's a lot of the old what were they called? Not druids. Sort of rogue, rambly nomads. There's a lot of the old elf nomads have come back. They were originally wood elf models. They're now back in that wood elf range in the pictures, as well as like eagles with guys riding them with spears, and bigger tree people and other stuff like that. They're all in the goodies book or the baddies book, depending on which faction it is. And as I said, they all say which bases they fit on. So it may be that you're able to look and see if
hello.
oh, hey Lemmy, let me just move this keyboard. It may be you're able to look and see if the rebasing has to happen, or if you can use converters or anything like that. And I could probably look up for you where the tree men are in the goodies book, but I probably can't do it right this minute because things.
There's a Solo Star membership.
Right, yes. Member for 39 months. Would love to see Dogs of War return. Pikes to the front. Yeah, I have seen nothing other than the inclusion of mercenaries in the organization chart to suggest that that could happen. But a lot of these minis were much loved, and it's obviously a nostalgia thing. I won't remember what I was going to say. They seem to be going to have not necessarily a 2-tier game system, but a 2-generational game system. The Heresy is very much old 40k, and the Old World is very much old Fantasy Battle. AOS I just love, but it is, to me, it is now its own thing. And 40k is just competitive in space. But I think they appeal to very different markets, and I think they've sort of got the sort of modern competitive version and the old, sort of role players versions of the games. It feels to me like that's what they're doing.
Got a comment from Moog. They do have the old molds in the cupboard, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Oh, I know. I mean, when I was unboxing the Bretonnians, I've never had Bretonnians before, never played them, and I was trying to work out, without any prior knowledge, and you guys saw me trying to do this on camera, those of you who've seen it, trying to work out without any prior knowledge. Come on, brain. You're on my side, remember? Without any prior knowledge, which ones were new and which ones weren't. And all of the peasant sprues had 2003 stamped on them. But yes, that is a 20-year-old mini, but they're still decent minis. They're not today's standard. But I I've assembled them. They look pretty good. I like the look of them in the pictures. With a lot of the fantasy stuff, you don't see a lot of the minis anyway. You see their heads. So there's and they look good in blocks. I'm okay with that. What I don't know yet is how much an individual unit costs for how many. That will, I am sure, colour my opinion on that. Obviously, the Finecast Forge Worldy stuff is on the expensive side of things, as it is with Heresy. So they seem to be following a very similar model. They seem to be following the model of having, I won't say inexpensive, by their standards, inexpensive plastic sets available for you to create a basic bulk force, and then the extra stuff that you want to be able to flesh out all the toys, either in Forge World or, in this case, back in Metal and Finecast. I don't think, have they brought Finecast back? No, I don't think they have. It's Metal or Resin, I think.
Martin Vilnius says, do you think Kislev will be released in the future? They have as much lore in the rule book as the other armies.
Very possibly. It all depends where they're at with their sculpts. I think if they can do independent release with a miniature release and a book in its own right, yeah, I think there's definitely potential for them to do that. I can't remember because I wasn't that close to Fantasy Battle at the time. I can't remember whether Kislev was an all-metal release. They seem to have gone for ones where the bulk of the existing minis were plastic. So, for example, my favorite army of all time are Chaos Dwarves. And with the exception of one box of plastic Chaos Dwarf Warriors that were just stood there like that, that were very much monopose, they were all metal. There's no way they were releasing those with the old miniature line, I don't think, because they seem to need to have a solid core of plastic minis to be able to sell en masse or give away in a big box. Oh, I loved those hats and the fact they were all slowly turning to stone, and the big boss man had stone feet and he had a clockwork contraption running him around and he had hammers and bang, 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 bang. And they could ride on giant fire-breathing bulls and weird things called Lamassu with massive beards. And yeah, they were great.
Aaron582 asks, so is there a maximum size a unit can be?
I don't recall seeing one. I think I saw the unit sizes as 5+, 3+, that kind of thing. I don't think there's a maximum size, but there doesn't seem to be the huge benefit there used to be for having massive Death Star units. So if you hit an enemy unit in the side with a strong enough unit, it's only going to get a certain amount of the combat resolution is more weighted towards the wounds dealt than everything else that I can see. The rank bonus seems to be less of a factor. I think the rank bonus for sort of general infantry caps at 2, but you get a 1 bonus for just being in close quarters. So the need to have massive units just isn't there anymore. Okay, it's harder. They'll last longer to shooting because they're much less likely to take 25% casualties. But I don't believe I did see that. No.
Mick says we still need some sandbox style narrative based non-competitive rules for 40k. Perhaps one day GW will oblige. Will not hold his breath, but hopefully.
I don't think it's very likely. I think 40k is their biggest IP, and the competitive market seems to be the largest. The competitive segment of the market seems to be the largest, and 40k is their biggest IP. Therefore, they marry up their largest segment with the best. cat slobber on my face. Thank you, Lemmy. I got it on my hand without realizing, and then got it on my face. And I think they marry up those two biggest segments to maximize profit. And I don't blame them for that as a corporation. It sucks as a gamer. It sucks as a gamer who wants to play games in the 40K setting, who playing Heresy has made me terribly nostalgic for how 40K used to work, and some of the factions that I used to love playing. But I don't think they ever will. I don't think there's any incentive for them to do it. I think they will be of the view that people who want to do narrative go to Heresy and Old World. People who want to do competitive go to 40K. AOS kind of somewhere in between is what I think. But I'd love it if they did. But they've sort of gone into this narrative is crusade now. And there are some cool things in there. And if it's your thing, that's great. And rather than being narrative gaming, what it is a way of linking together your regular competitive games and having cause and effect between games. And that's great. It's not what everyone wants out of a narrative game, though. That's, if you... Not going down that rabbit hole again. Hit me. Uh-oh.
Wait a second, I've just seen a question. I don't know whether we've asked this question. With me.
I won't remember if we have. Or I can answer it a different way.
No, I think we asked it. That's fine. No, we are up to date.
Okay. Well, there's any minute now there'll be a rush on the questions.
Just by the way, just while we've got a little, JM thinks your Star Wars poster is sick.
Yeah.
I've just said it's huge as well. Can't just talk. You have to get on share.
Well, that one's quite good as well. I quite like that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. No, I know they can't. So that's a Force Awakens Stormtrooper, and ignoring what came after it, I quite like the Force Awakens. Then I've got a paint splat proper Stormtrooper on a metal disc plate. Then I've got a metal disc plate BBS. Then I've got Clone Wars cartoon disc plates of Ahsoka Tano in the one green lightsaber era, and Clone Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. And other things I've got a Blood Angel Death Company Marine, a Bioshock Big Daddy and Little Sister, a Grogu Baby Yoda.
Oh, that's cute, Baby Yoda.
A Predator, an Alien, an Eldar Avatar, and those two pictures there that you can just see. One, they are both from Blackstone Fortress game. One is in the center of the fortress with the Chaos Lord. The other is in, I think it's called Precipice.
You should just come and have a look round. Yeah. It's like a gallery. You should just come and have a look round. They are everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Martin says, what I'm really looking forward to in OW is the random aspects of it. It's missing from 40K nowadays.
Yep, I know what you mean. And I've been having that with Heresy, getting units swept away when they lose a combat, being overrun and cut down. The 40K is all, I like my games to be a roller coaster with peaks and troughs. 40K is kind of, I've often said of my my antidepressants that what they do is they cut off the extreme highs and the extreme lows and keep you sort of comfy in the middle. 40K is like that for me. There's very little that I'm really pleased with. It's kind of just got all the oomph just gone.
Is put on there. Is put, for example, Timber
miscasts, etc.
Mick's also put on there, what do you think the future holds for AOS with the old world returning?
I don't think AOS is going to change. I think I think the miniature ranges will polarize. I think over time, they will not sell minis that go into both games. I think they will keep the games entirely separate, is what I think. I don't think it'll have an effect on AOS, the game, and I may well rage quit if it does.
I want to think of him as the Lycra, but I'm sure that's not how you say it. Which army are you most likely to... Oh, I can't see that because my little heart's over it.
Most excited to play
Old World
I can't
see
with.
that bit because I've got something on my screen, but yes.
Well,
I want to say the Lycra. I'm sure that's not how you pronounce it. It's not. It's something like
Lycera.
the Lycera, isn't
Something
it?
like that, yeah.
Not the Lycra, but...
Which army? Well, I do like the look of all of them, which is always my problem. I'm looking forward to trying the Bretonians. I'm looking forward to an evil army of red and black, except it's a good army of red and black. The live roleplay club I was a member of for many years, the bad guys were from a keep called Sonnet's Gill, and they wore red and black halved with black over the heart. And we had loads of costume and loads of kit, and they are an iconic image for me. And seeing an army in red and black like that is just... I
think you're excited to play, which brings me to just an update on anybody that, when we live streamed every week, anybody that sort of knew us knew we were talking about a lockup. So, or some form of somewhere to keep Paul's plastic crack. And just an update, the lockup is full.
It is not full.
It is.
It is not full.
It is full.
It is not full.
It is full.
Half of it's yours.
Is it? You fibber!
Maybe
I don't know how you can say that. The lockup is almost full, guys. The lockup is almost full.
I don't know how you can say it's full because it isn't.
Lockup number 2 is on the cards. So it kind of worked, but in certain rooms, you can't tell anything went to the lockup. Anyway, Monkey Tennis says, off topic, but when you start filming Horus Heresy battle reports, is there any chance of beginning with a how to play or something similar? I'm interested in the game, but find the rules incomprehensible.
I hadn't planned on a how to play Horus Heresy, but it's something I will have a think about. See if that's...
No, it doesn't need more plastic. Moog.
Always need more plastic.
I'm going to eat your wine gums.
Always need more plastic.
Yeah, and it's not a metaphor.
Always need more plastic.
No.
Always need more plastic.
Buy a warehouse and have a small living space
Lilo.
with a huge office space. You're onto something there. You're onto thanks for that, by the way. And a Moog, no. Actually, if the lockup just needs a suspended floor, then you can fill it all up again. Can't you really?
It's just
because you've not gone high, you've gone wide.
What Crimson means is that something like 2/3 of the footprint of the floor has stuff on it, which is about what it does. But it's 8 foot high, and I just need a more creative way of making use of the air. That's
you
all.
Need a suspended floor. That's what you need, and then you can fill the rest of it up.
I don't have to sit here and listen to this.
No, but it's true. I just wanted to give everybody an update. Sorry, it's full. It's just full. Scaffolding. Oh dear. You see, this is the problem. Scaffolding and stairs. That is what it needs. Scaffolding and stairs. Mick, there's no point in any of you promising that you're not going to buy anything, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The lockup is full. That's the problem.
I'll let you folks judge for yourselves as to how full you believe the lockup is.
It's full.
And on that note, so I am going. Sarcastic Monkey just build scaffolding from sprues. Good plan. Good plan.
What? That doesn't sound safe. He's got to stand on them.
No, you have.
I'm not standing on anything.
It's 8 foot tall. I won't be able to stand. You say that. I won't be able to stand on a mezzanine. Whereas someone of your stature,
you mean short, don't you?
Yeah.
You mean short. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Spruces. I don't think that's going to be strong enough.
So, on that note,
Aaron says, wait a minute, Aaron says, I think by the end of the decade, I'll have to stick all my stuff on a pallet and put it up on the racking at work. See? Build an extension from spruce. Oh, everybody's going crazy. No, we're not digging up the garden. We had this conversation. No, he cannot expand into my house.
She's got her own plastic craft.
Scott, no. No, there's no chance. There is no chance. I have a small little gaming bunker. I have a small little area I keep my plastic stuff in. Sounded better in my head. Anyway.
Right, my first thank you for the evening goes to Crimson, I think, for her excellent job and her abuse and her imagination and creative interpretation of space.
It is full.
But thank you for your assistance. Do you have things to go through?
A bunker, you'd never know it with there, Nick says. I do membership chats. Aaron, 582 Railways, 27 months. Wolf Corgay, 29 months. I'm Mike, by the way. Moog, 38 months. It feels like longer. Big Bad Peter Gaming, 23 months. Mick the Machine, 37 months. And James, something I can't read, 34 months. Kevin, 38 months. And Solo Star, 39 months. Sarcastic Monkey, 15 months. They're the membership chats. Thank you. It just seems like forever, doesn't it? 39 months. Wow. Super chat from the legend himself, Big Bad Peter Gaming. Woo! And he gifted 10 memberships that went to Lucrative, Gareth Richardson, Kennel 149, Jan Shume, I hope I've pronounced that right, Adam Payne, Christian McBee, I think it's Gady Moss. I hope that's right. Jack Dehorror, Banished Pest 11. That's me. Banished Pest 11, and Tim Peter Fye. So, but we'll know you all really, really well anyway when you join Discord. So, crack on.
So, well, thank you all for joining us. Apologies for the bumpy start where we had a lot of technology issues. But your company is very much appreciated. Lobster gifted memberships. I'm sure they get a lobster. I completely forgot about the lobsters.
Thanks, mate.
So we'll go out to a lobster picture. Okay.
Oh, you see.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Kev. Loads of love, lovely. Give us a ring if you need anything.
See you folks on the other side or in the next one or whichever it might be. Say bye, Crimson.
Bye, Crimson.
Bye. Wave.
Bye. Oh, bye.
Bye.
Bye.